Good morning, Turbo.
Turbo's
Good morning, Reem.
us.
Turbo.
Let's discuss your recoveries in Chicago.
Yeah, it's been going well. We're Friday the 25th of October now, so that would be just under 2 weeks after Chicago, 12 days. And yeah, probably felt like I was fully recovered by Sunday last week, probably a week after. Although that's probably not really the truth, as in there's probably still some damage in there, central nervous system wise, but I'm not quite sure how you determine when you're fully recovered from when you're not if you continue training. If you just completely rest, then it probably would have taken 7 to 8 days. But obviously the next marathon is coming up in 2 weeks and a day tomorrow, Indianapolis. And I feel like the transition between the marathon in Chicago and getting back into training has been good, really good. I was in Kona, Hawaii last week doing some work with some of the triathletes, more specifically Cam Worth. And I got some training in down there. I think I took a day or two completely off. It's all on my Strava anyways. And last week I wasn't really thinking about the mileage at all last week, but it was a little over 100K. I think I said in the last video that in fact, I know I did because a couple of people commented on it saying that they liked the approach. And it said, I never really plan the marathon recovery if I've got another marathon coming up. I pretty much wake up and do it Courtney Dauwalter style and just see how I feel. And that worked out well. I got back to my first workout on, I think it was Saturday, and did 8 by 1K. I was actually planning on doing 10 and pulled it up too short just because I felt a little bit more fatigued than I hoped for. But I think what I hoped for was an ideal scenario of not feeling really any fatigue from the race. So that's never going to happen 6 days on. Yeah, 8 by a K in Kona in Hawaii. So I did a little heat block as I went back down to warmer conditions in Hawaii. And yeah, spent 6 days there doing some videoing. Got back yesterday morning around this time, 5 a.m. Slept well last night though, so up for a hard workout today, which will be probably the only marathon specific really long workout in between Chicago and Indianapolis, and it will sit almost exactly in the middle, 12 days after Chicago and 15 days before Indy. And then after this, there'll probably be 1 or 2 more threshold sessions and then 1 or 2 more speed workouts, and then we'll hit Indy. So yeah, in 45 minutes, we'll get started with our warm-up. I've got a friend joining me, Anthony Farmer. He ran 2:21 at Chicago, and he didn't even really train for the marathon. He was training for the 5K. He got an entry, I think he said, I'm going to ask him when he gets here, I think he got an entry through his work, through Nike, could be wrong with that. And he massively negative split and ran like 73 and then like 68, I think, or 69. So he's got serious talent, very young still. I think he's 22 or 23, but let's find out. I've done a couple of runs with him, really nice guy. He'll join me today. And should be fun. So straight back into the training. And I'm really looking forward to Indy. I'm really hoping it's going to be really cold. That's going to mean that I can shoot for a much faster time. But if it's not going to be much colder than Chicago, then maybe just try and go a little bit quicker than Chicago. So we'll see, yeah.
I'm always curious to learn, how does someone back up this quickly? Like, how many more workouts do you ideally need, or long runs do you ideally need?
I think it's really difficult to plan your training in between 2 marathons when it's 4 weeks. When it's 8 weeks, like you behind the camera, Reem has 8 weeks in between Chicago and CIM. It's a little bit easier because you can afford to take 7 to 10 days almost entirely off. And my argument would be that you can still get back into running faster in 8 weeks' time because you get so much stimulus from the marathon itself, the first one. Yeah. Whereas if it's 4 weeks, it's hard because if you bury yourself in that first race and blow up and it's really hot, and these things all factor into recovery a lot. It can take you a long time to recover. It can take 2 to 2.5 weeks for some people. But I think I'm lucky / fortunate / just out of the fact that this is what I've chosen to do. If you do I feel like the more marathon builds you do and the more marathons that you run, it feels like you recover better each time, slightly better each time. That's not necessarily exactly true because it depends on how you execute in the race, but in general, across the board, your recovery seems to be a little bit better because I remember in 2019 running Valencia Marathon in 2:27. That was a big breakthrough for me. It took me a good 2.5 weeks to properly recover from that. And I feel like the feeling, I remember very clearly how I felt 2.5 weeks after that was basically how I felt 6 days after Chicago. So it just goes to show. And I think Valencia at that point in time would have been about my 4th or 5th marathon, whereas now I'm up to, I think, 21. I have to at some point actually sit down and properly count. I think it's 20 or 21. So yeah, and lots of people do experience that. The more they do, the more builds they do, the stronger they get, the more races they do, the more their body gets used to that marathon stimulus, and you recover faster. So that probably takes a reverse trend once you get to a certain age, but I'm 37 and I probably haven't hit that age yet, but that'll probably come. But yeah, I haven't really planned anything more than like 1 or 2 days ahead. But how I hoped I would feel post-marathon in being able to do a workout 6 days afterwards and then continue on from there every 3 days has worked out the way I'd hoped. So how I approached it was, as soon as I was able to feel like I could do a workout, even if it wasn't a full workout, because 8x1K is not a full marathon specific workout, but it's still useful, it's still a good threshold session. From then on, every 3rd day, I was hitting something specific. So I did 8x1K, 3 days later, hill sprints, which I'm definitely keeping into my training probably forever on, because I feel like they're really beneficial for me. And then this is 3 days after the hill sprints now. And so I'm gonna go 3 days, every 3 days. And in between those specific workouts, every 3 days, it's just easy running of somewhere between, I mean, yesterday I did 10 miles in the morning, 5 miles in the evening. That's a pretty standard day in between. Sometimes it might be 12 miles in the morning, 5 miles in the afternoon. Sometimes it might just be 12 miles in the morning and nothing in the afternoon. And that's all just based on feel. But I definitely think that Courtney Dauwalter is onto something with her approach of doing it a lot to feel. And so my approach is having a template in mind, which I'm sure she absolutely does too. And then you wake up and sort of reassess when you get up. So yeah. So today, pretty similar workout to the 2x10K, but slightly easier. 4x5K, which is the same thing, essentially. Same stimulus at least, but slightly easier because we're going for the pace I want to run at Indy if it's cold, and that's about 3:12 to 3:14 per kilometer. That's a 2:16 marathon. That's a big jump, but reflecting from Chicago, I don't think it's impossible. I feel like that's the way to say it without people thinking you're arrogant. I don't think it's impossible to run that. It's going to require probably a perfect day, perfect weather, racing someone to the end. But hey, Indy usually is cold. The last 2 years it hasn't been that cold, but prior to that it's been very cold. And it's usually 1 in 2:15 or 2:16. So it's exciting for me because hopefully I can go for a top 3 placing or a top 5 placing, or it's hard to know because the field can really vary. But 4x5K at 2:16 marathon pace, which is 3:12 to 3:14 per kilometer. 1K recovery in between, which will be whatever comes. 1K float, it's recover, but still run fast while recovering. And that's it. 5K warm up, 5K cool down. I believe that's 33K in total, just over 20 miles. And like I said, this will basically be the only specific marathon workout in between Chicago and Indy. And then otherwise it will be the speed stuff. Because, well, if you think about it, if you're going to do a marathon and you're just doing one marathon and you do a full marathon all out 4 weeks before that, many coaches would, which I've done, if you talk about Chicago being that all out marathon before Indy, any other coach would be like, after that, be careful what you do in between then and the next one. And so I'm really hoping that I can do this at about 85% effort or 90% effort. And if you think about how I did the 2x10K, which I actually put on YouTube, I did that to feel purely, not to pace. Today will probably be a mixture of both as well, and it might end up slightly being quicker or being slightly slower, we'll see. But the 2x10K was done at 3:06 and 3:05 per K with 1K float. Today we're trying to go closer to 3:12, 3:14. So I think I'm going to actually look at my watch a little bit more in the first one today and run the first few to that exact pace. And then the last one, if it's just feeling very comfortable at the end, which who knows, it might not, then I might just open up a little bit more in the last one and just run it purely to feel. But the first 3 at least, I think I'll stick to 3:12 and kind of try and make sure of it, because at the end of the day, the way I did that 2x10K, you could argue it was, I almost shocked myself that I could do that, but that's 2:11 marathon pace, and I'm never going to actually go out at 2:11 marathon pace. I do think that's impossible at this point in time. So yeah. So 4x5K, total 33K. Do all the fueling, all that fun stuff. It looks like we've got pretty good weather, about 11 degrees Celsius, little wind and overcast, so that's perfect, and should be fun. Yeah. I'm very excited for this one because I don't think I've done a marathon before that I've actually tried to come top 3, top 5 and look at people and be like, oh, there's first place, like stick with first place. Can I? No, it feels too fast. Let's stick with third place, stick with fifth. Yeah, I'm usually not caring at all what place I'm coming. Normally I'm 30th, 50th, 80th, 100th. And this one, I guess the possibility is there to be in the top few. Because when I ran it in 2021, it was run in 2:16. Last year, it was one in 2:14 high, I believe. I'm sorry, Lyle, a friend of mine won, but I can't remember the exact time he ran. I think it was 2:14 or 2:15. 2:14 is probably out of my reach at this point, but I think if it's a 2:16 race, I think I can put myself in the mix and see what happens. And if I blow up and fail, then I tried.
Yeah, it should be exciting for you.
Yeah, so I wore the Alpha Fly 1 in the race last week in Chicago, and I'll probably wear them again, although I think the Alpha Fly 3 is basically just as good as the 1, so I might order a new pair of 3s because I've raced twice in the 1s now. But I'm going to wear the 3s today in training. That is the pair that I've been using in workouts, that marathon specific workouts. They're a little bit beat up now. I've probably done 300k maybe, 200 miles in these shoes. So with that, Soar was always sponsor of this video series. Massive thank you to Soar. I just love their gear so much. I say in every episode, I'm a heavy sweater, even in 11 degrees, 10 degrees this morning, 9 to 11 degrees. Probably going to be sweating quite a bit, and this stuff just doesn't weigh me down.
Oh, yeah.
It just slides right off.
I wore it in Thailand. Absolutely loved it.
And another sponsor that's come on board has been Blenders. I've been really enjoying wearing these. They're a little bit ambitious, a little bit aggressive, but I've been wearing these in the leg front the last few days. Although I might go with this colour here of the Blenders sunnies that they've sent me.
Oh, yeah, that matches the fit.
It does?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, these ones are the Slate Shadow polarized category 3 ones. I love these. These are really cool. But the reason why I love...
Forget that they're on.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason why I love all the Blender sunglasses, including these casual ones, I requested these Coastal X tubes. And they all sit on your face, and regardless of how much I'm sweating, they do not slide down like that. And that's what I love about the Blender sunglasses, because a lot of the sunglasses that I try, as soon as I'm sweating a little bit, they'll just start sliding down my face. And all of these just sit right on your face really well. And yeah, I'm really enjoying them. So they did offer a 20% off code to people if they want to purchase some Blenders. Just use Sweat Elite at checkout. And they're really affordable too. They're not a really expensive brand, but they're very, very high quality. I love them. So thank you, Blenders, for sponsoring, and go check it out with the code Sweat Elite. But yeah, that's what I'm wearing. I will be utilizing the Chargels once again, because I'll be using them in the race, and I'll be taking in sugar with water and electrolyte tablet as well. And that's it, other than my Garmin watch. So ready to get out there. I think Anthony's waiting downstairs, or he's almost here, so we'll get going.
Or two. And you gotta tell the story to the camera. Story time. I don't think he even knows the camera's on, but here it is. Story time. Welcome to YouTube. Hi.
And a race.
So tell the camera about your Chicago experience. His goal was sub 2:30 and he ran 2:21. How does that work?
I went there and I had fun.
Yeah.
That was the most important part. I was working all week. I was helping out at Michigan Ave, and I was helping out at the expo. And I think that's what helped me mentally focus, just like get all those distractions out of my head of just like pre-race nerves and everything. People just coming in before race day, talking about running. I think that was a big key, like, indicator, just like keeping the distractions of the race. I just took it as a long run Sunday, and this is a cringe thing that everyone is telling me after I tell them this, but I just ran the race like Stairway to Heaven. Seriously, each 5K that went by was a minute in the song, and I just had fun with it. First 10K goal was just to work from 6 flat and get my way down to 542, which is 230. We were not hitting that. We were not hitting that at all. We started out at 5:42, which is bang on, and kept flipping it down at like 35, 30, 25. Now like by 10K, first 10K, and we were already in the 520s, and I felt good. Man, I just went with it, and I think having the crowd as electrifying as it was, really helped it too.
Yeah.
And I just went with it. Saw a lot of pros during the race. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was kind of fangirling a little bit. Once I saw the pros, I was like, I watched you guys on TV, going to Worlds, going to the Olympics. And I'm like,
What did you say?
I saw.
What did you pass? You passed a lot of pros. Women.
So like first one that really stood out, I saw Dominique Scott.
Oh yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Then I saw a lot of people from, I think it was Hanson's, because Brooks was orange, I think. So I saw a lot of people from Brooks. Then I passed the Heath brothers, which is freaking awesome. That was cool. That was awesome. Got to talk to them after the race too. That was pretty cool. And I think that was, no, because then we caught up to Emma Bates and Central, which I did not know that was them until after the race. And after that, I think that's when it started, that wall started kind of creeping in. Or maybe the lack of gas. Just when I ran out of people to pass. I was in the middle of Corral A, and I just didn't know what to expect.
What were your first half split and your second half split?
First half was 73.02. And second half,
And then he decided he was going to try and chase me down from there. Even though I was 3.5 minutes ahead.
second half we went, I think it was like 68.48. So I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that. After second half, after we got past the first half, I was like, let's just cruise at 520s. 520s, because I don't know what to expect. I really didn't train for it. I didn't have any gels,
That's the scary part. You didn't train for it.
and I didn't have any fluids. I just relied
No
on
gels,
water
no
and the
fluids,
Gatorade
guys.
cups. And after like mile 15, mile 16. Because that's normally what it is for my long runs. I really don't take any fluids or anything. But it really didn't start hurting mentally until 24, 25. Well, nice. And
That's a great race.
like, I just brought it in, and now we're back in it again next year.
It's fascinating because I think like Canova, I'll take over the spot in the camera.
Yeah.
Canova, world famous coach who I base a lot of my coaching on, talks a lot about how the marathon is feared by a lot of people. Like a lot of people fear it, and that cripples a lot of people's races. And you even said to me like the week before, maybe 2 weeks before we did a long run, you were like, I'm just gonna go out there and have like a hard long run. And you didn't fear it.
Yeah, it's the
You
best
just
way
were
to
like,
look
I'm
at
just
it.
gonna hammer this long run. And it's kind of wild what happens. Like 73, 68, 221 without really. And you could probably admit that you really didn't know what you were doing either.
I did not. Seriously, I did not.
And that is, there's training basically for the 5K.
There's
right?
beauty in that.
Yeah, there's no marathon training, and I think what also helped too was the average pace for the whole entire race was, I think it was like somewhere around 525, 526. My threshold level is way above that, and I think that's what.
Yep.
I think that's why I performed the way I did, because I really wasn't redlining it until maybe like mile 21, and that was my fastest split. I think it was like 452, 453, and
That's 208 marathon pace.
we're not ready, not ready. And that's that's when I think that's when I started passing Bates and Centra. But like after that, maybe only like 3 or 4 people I was able to catch left in the race. But I think what really helped is my mindset was first 20 of the long run, and then the 10K race.
Yep.
Because I feel like it's a lot more mental than it is physical.
Yeah.
And I really think if people are able to change their mindset, and this is for me too, when I race for my races, the 15, the 5K, maybe even the 10K, because I still don't have a 10K time. I want to change my perspective of the race. Just go in there and have fun. Obviously, there's times on the line, there's spots on the line and everything, but I think that's what helps the mind and body. Just relieving that mental stress, because I think it's EK says this too, it's 90% mental and 10% physical.
Yeah.
You just have to trust your body. And to play the way I had, and I had a song playing in my head the whole entire time. And that's how I raced it.
And so this is your first marathon-specific workout after the marathon.
This is the first marathon workout ever. So I'm going to learn today what it is like.
That's wild, guys.
So,
You think you could for 4 or 5 days at 16 low? Surely. We're about to find out.
that is on paper, that is threshold. That is current threshold. So we will see.
Yeah.
This is going to be the longest session I've ever done. And we're just gonna observe how I feel and just keep myself in check, making sure that we're not redlining it.
Yep. It's really important.
Well done.
Yeah, that was perfect. Dude, I think you should run Indianapolis.
There's not enough time for me to have some company for it.
Okay. But you can do 4x5K in 16 flat or 16:05. You really should be able to run well under 220. You should. Normally I would say if you can do that 4x5K with in 16 low, you'd need to do some long runs as well to get around a 220, but I don't know, you run 221 without doing that many long runs, so some people just don't really need it, I guess, suitable. But that worked out perfectly. We were 23K in 1 hour 15. Average pace 3:15 per K, but we did stop twice for like a minute and a half just to go to the toilet.
Let's go work up, that. That's good.
So let me be clear, in that 221, how much carbs did you have? Like, what did you actually take? Did you take anything? Nothing.
Just the water and the Gatorade after
So you took a few cups of Gatorade?
That's it.
But those cups of Gatorade, like I took quite a few of them, and when you grab them, half of it falls out of the cup, so you only get like a third of a cup, which is probably like 10 grams of carbs at most. So 5K cool down, 33K day. Yeah, good. I was a bit surprised my stomach was really average today. I just think it's as a result of eating way too close. So, because I very rarely have a problem with my stomach, but to be honest, even after the second one, even the third and fourth one, I like at the very start of that last one, I was a little bit worried that I'd have to stop after 1K and go again, but I managed to hold it. It didn't get any worse. So,
like, I only had the food, like after the first stripe, it's just too sugary. But like, I mean, definitely some water. The feature sessions were a lot. Like, first 3 sessions, I was at like 6 out of 10. Then that last one, I was feeling like it started feeling a little anaerobic there, just a little bit forever.
And that last one, I felt like it was about an 8 out of 10 for me.
So, dehydration, lack of hydration was starting to hit.
Yeah, it was actually kind of strangely warmer than I thought it'd be. It said it was going to be 11 degrees, 53, but it actually felt kind of...
Especially when the sun came out.
All right, let's cool down. Go home and get something to eat.